Welcome to why you should play this power rifle mech SH pusher build. First of all, this build is meant for Soulless Horror and Wing 5 to push the TDs off of the arena so that their red fields don't kill the group. Why Mechanist? The most common pusher right now is Druid as a lack heal secondary to their sub. So you're basically running triple heals with a Druid pusher, and they're also providing alacrity. Now this build is purely DPS, so the first benefit is that it is contributing to that damage. As a heal druid, your group doesn't need an extra healer, so you're just losing some damage there, whereas on this you're actually contributing. As it is a pure DPS, it doesn't have to worry about providing boons to the group. You can focus entirely on pushing and not messing that up. In terms of pushing, this has a shit ton of pushes. So we got first personal battering ram, that is a launch, which will count as a push. And then we've got flamethrower. If you open that up, the third skill is a knockback. The rifle 4 is a launch, so that's 3. The Mech F2 skill that we're using is also a push. With that combined, this is far more than the Druid's 2 pushes, and it allows you to essentially push the TD so far that you can't even see the red fields on the arena. It is more reliable than the alternative heal Druid pusher, because it does not require condies from the group. With this build, you can kill the TD yourself from start to finish. You are also pushing it before it reaches the group, so you don't have to worry about the group causing CC on it. You essentially push it before it even gets there. And finally, it's extremely safe. You can see that we're running shift signet on this. This allows you to go right through the walls if you need to, as a safety net, or if the TD has been destroyed on group, you can use this to get through the red fields without taking damage. Now, the cons of this build is that it does take a bit more effort than Druid. Druid, once the TD is on group, you're essentially just taking a step back and then doing your pushes. Whereas on this, you will need to know when the TD is spawning. You will need to actively go to the TD as it spawns, and you'll need to begin pushing before it reaches the group. Keep in mind, this skill, personal battering ram, has a range of 130, which is super small. So typically that is how close you need to be to a TD before you can start pushing, as this will be your first push. And so with that comes some careful positioning that needs to be done, more so than the Druid. So when you're looking at the build itself, it's this will be linked in the description, but it's a very typical power rifle mech build, which is not very popular anymore, but as a utility class for this, it works really well. So you just got all berserkers on your gear, all weapons, berserkers, everything. We're using Scholar runes. You can also use Dragon Hunter. On the relic, we're using Relic of the Thief. On the rifle, we're using Force and Air. In terms of the build, we've already looked at the utility skills, but we're using the Heal Signet, the Elite Signet, and Shift Signet. Then we're also using these flamethrower and personal battering ram as our pushes. The other thing is we are using these 3 mech skills. For anyone that doesn't know about Mechanist, the skills, the slots that you pick here in their trait line are going to change your F1, F2, and F3 skills. So you can see my Mech F3 skill changes if I pick a different one of these traits. So we are picking this F1, this F2, and this F3. The reason for this, the F1 is range. So this will make the mech ranged. This will be very helpful for getting it to help you kill the TD. This F2 is a launch with 1200 range. It is an extra push, which can be helpful, and it gives the mech precision, so your mech will do more damage. And then Jade Mortar. This one we are using for the recharge reduction. This will help keep your mech skills off cooldown, and you'll be using them to help you take the TDs down. In terms of the utility itself, we're taking the heal signet just as an extra heal. The elite, so that our shift signet, if we do have to use it, is on a shorter cooldown. Same with the elite, the healing skill. We don't normally actually activate the overclock signet. You can if you just want to use it for more damage, or you can use it as a panic button as well. If the TD has been pushed and it's still super high on health, you can use this to nuke it down. And we're using personal battering ram and flamethrower as our pushes. These are what I consider to be the most consistent. There are alternatives. So you can either drop shift signet or drop one of the other two for force signet, a knockback. I don't use force signet because it's a knockback from both you and your mech. Can cause some issues with, if you use this early and the mech is near where the TD is, it might get pushed in the wrong direction. And that's different to the flamethrower and the personal battering ram, because both these and the rifle are all coming from you, so you don't have to worry about the mech's positioning. So this is the general setup that I would use with shift signet. Now, in terms of actually pushing, the order of your skills is going to matter. So essentially, once the first TD spawns, actually before the first TD spawns, you want to be using your rifle 2 and your rifle 5 for damage. Using both of these will keep your Relic of the Thief at max stacks. This will help you do more damage to the TD so you can kill it down quickly. And once the TD spawns, you're going to run directly to it, and you're going to first swap to your flamethrower kit. You are not using the flamethrower kit to push first. This is just so that you're ready. So you run over to the TD, you stand in the direction relative to it that you want to push it. You need to get super close, so 130 range for the personal battering ram, and then you hit it with this first. This will push it in the direction that you are relative to it. Next, you will go back into range, and you will use the flamethrower 3, which is a 300 range, so a little bit more, but you still have to be close enough. You swap out of flamethrower, and now you're going to use your rifle 4, and you want to hit it with net shot, so that's your rifle 3. Now at this point, you can just use your auto attacks and use your F1 on your mech to kill it. However, if it still needs another push, like if it's just barely on the edge and you want to give it a bit more distance, you can use, after it's been immobed, you can use the Mech F2 skill. This will launch a very slow moving projectile, so TD has to be immobed so it doesn't miss. And when it lands, it will push the TD again for another 240 launch. Generally, you won't need to do this though. It's just more of a backup option. In your F3, you're basically never going to use this. You can press it once when the CC happens on SH, just to help out. But generally, you won't need to use this. And that's pretty much it for pushing.